Dear people of the Environmental Protection Agency, with every passing generation, another failure to invoke action in our people passes with a promise that the next generation will be better than the last. But when does that time run out? Ever since the Industrial Revolution began in the 1820s, we produced a major increase in CO2 emissions, with 20% coming from the last 40 years alone. We fear the worst as these emissions surge and the decreasing quality of air becomes more and more prevalent in our communities. We are in a crisis, which is why we write to you. 130 million people in the United States alone live in areas that don't meet the national air quality standards. That's over 1/3 of our country. Our time is now, which is why we stand with the Clean Air Act to prevent the increasing health risks, rising carbon dioxide emissions, detrimental effects on the environment, and all of the other critical impacts that poor air quality has on us. Please help us save our planet. Sincerely, the future generations. On December 31st, 1970, President Richard Nixon signed the Clean Air Act in hopes to strengthen the American economy, along with improving the environment and human health. There was a growing urgency driven by the public to establish effective environmental laws, ones that truly enforce policies rather than pretending to. Thus, the Environmental Protection Agency, or EPA, was formed. Developed and signed alongside the EPA, the Clean Air Act was created to regulate facility carbon dioxide emissions and improve nationwide air quality.
People used to get sick from the air, and they don't so much anymore, and that, I think, is a lot of things to do with the Clean Air Act.
Many instances occurred before the plan sprung into action on the day President Nixon signed the act, which led to the growing urgency. In 1948, the community of Nora, Pennsylvania, was hit with unusual levels of fog, smog, and low visibility for the region. As conditions worsened, reports of respiratory problems became rampant. Phone calls began to ring to the point where responders soon had to bring oxygen to each house. It had gotten so bad that doctors even advised people to leave their homes. By the end of it, 20 people were dead. 1,440 people were afflicted with severe symptoms, and another 4,470 had cases from mild to moderate. This problem was caused by regulator plumes of smog, which resulted in a surge in cancer rates in that area. In cities condensed with industrial factories, asthma attacks have become a more frequent occurrence, and seniors have heart problems, which lands them in hospitals. As the air gets dirtier and things remain unchanged, smog will gather in our parks, and the overall health of the public will decrease, dragged down by a multitude of respiratory problems.
The Clean Air Act will prevent thousands of early deaths, and its air quality and health benefits, including the prevention of heart attacks and reduction of pulmonary diseases like chronic bronchitis, which will grow over time.
Adopted in 2015, the Paris Climate Accord, or Paris Agreement, was created to cover climate change mitigation, adaptation, and finance between countries. Air quality was also one of the major issues included within these topics. In June of 2017, Trump officially announced that the U.S. had become the first country to formally withdraw from the agreement. However, that change did not go into effect until November of 2020.
The Paris Accord, I took us out because we were going to have to spend trillions of dollars, and we were treated very unfairly. When they put us in there, they did us a great disservice. They were going to take away our businesses. I will not sacrifice tens of millions of jobs, thousands and thousands of companies because of the Paris Accord.
In late August of 2020, the Trump administration also made a major policy change to the Clean Air Act prior to Joe Biden's election. This is the most recent of several amendments that have been made over the years, which have affected the targets and goals of the act. Chris Frey, head environmental engineer at North Carolina State University, thoroughly analyzed and wrote many opinions on the changes. He refers to the changes as being, quote, collectively harmful to the quality, credibility, and integrity of the scientific review process, end quote. This year, the EPA has received over $9 billion for their budget. Considering most of the money comes from taxes, it's understandable why people feel their money is being wasted. However, from a human point of view, expenses, time, and energy are worth preventing the increasing health risk, rising carbon dioxide emissions, and other detrimental effects that critically impact the environment and people all throughout the world. It's an issue that affects every country and every city, including Alexandria.
This region is in a non-attainment area. That means we're not meeting the updated national air quality standards. And we have to do all we can to try to bring our numbers down.
I got a leaf blower this year. Instead of getting a gas-powered one, I got an electric-powered one because the gas-powered ones are just horrible for the environment.
One thing we do try to do is run errands all at the same time. So we're not, making a lot of trips somewhere.
The EPA plans to cut 41 million tons of methane by 2035. It may be a long road ahead of us, but it's still progress.
This is your planet. There is no planet B. You have to take actions and you have to share those passions and desires to make this planet better for you and your future.